What's up, Craig? Welcome to Trust Me, Bro. How you doing today?
What's up, brother? Doing good, man. How about you?
Yeah, pretty good. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Did you go trick or
So,
treating?
yeah, I did. Well, my daughter went out there for a while, and I just stayed home, passed out candy.
Yeah, cool.
Yep, yep. So, well, it went pretty good.
Good.
Kind of,
Good
kind
deal,
of
man.
died down after about 8 o'clock or so. So, got
Yeah,
kind of quiet after that, but gave away at least one bowl of candy. Had two bowls. So,
that's good. Good deal, man. Well, let's
yep.
give away some candy on the waiver wire.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. All right. Well, so I've got a few wide receivers here. I got a few running backs, a couple tight ends, and a couple QBs. Why don't you go first, and we'll go with wide receivers first.
Starting off wide receivers. So I've got one. We talked about this guy earlier in the year, but I think some opportunity might be knocking here. That's
Okay.
Devin Duvernay.
Yep.
So
I like it.
29% owned. Had a decent game last week, 4 for 31, and then also rushed for 2 rushes, 33 yards, and a tutty. Um,
Nice.
yeah, and he's also the returner. I like that too. You know, you can pick up
Mm-hmm.
some points that way as well. Then I think the attractive thing is that Bateman's out. It looks like he's gonna be out for a couple weeks at least. So it
Yep.
should open up a little bit more opportunity for our boy Duvernay.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like that pick. We, like you said, we brought him up a few times on the show. With Bateman being out, I mean, Bateman's been out for most of the season anyway, and so I think it's a lost season for that guy. And with Duvernay getting those return yards, it'd be nice if most of our leagues had 1 point for every 10 return yards. I know that always makes things a little bit more exciting because that way you
Yeah,
can grab some guys that are, let's just say, like a wide receiver three on the team. However, they're returning the punts and sometimes the kicks. And if you get a guy like that, it's always exciting to have a guy like that on your squad. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah. I think that should be standard for 12-team leagues or more.
for sure.
Get some of those return yards, open up a little bit more opportunity for people to score
Yep.
some points.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when these waiver wires get thin, it helps you grab some guys that wouldn't necessarily be household names. Like I
Yep.
remember I won a league one year with Danny Amendola as my wide receiver three, just because he was doing kick returns and punt returns, and plus, getting a lot of passes from the Rams, quarterback, whoever it was back then. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it opens up the door for guys like that, to
yep.
ball out on your team, get you some serious
Sure.
points. All right.
Yeah.
Well, good pick with Duvernay. I'm going back to Garrett Wilson this week. Plays for the Jets,
Yeah.
48% owned. He's had some duds here lately, and so
Yeah.
he's been more miss than hit. However, on this past game, he had 6 grabs on 7 targets for 115 yards. And so I'm thinking that the Jets are looking to take a more pass-heavy approach with their running back being out. Their star running back. What was it? What was the guy's name?
Brees Hall.
Brees Hall. Yeah, with Brees
Yeah.
Hall being out, and so yeah, this could be the start of something big. I mean, he did have another big game earlier this season, but we'll see where this goes. I mean, maybe not a guy to pick up and plug in as a starter right now, but somebody to put at the end of the bench and just see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's a nice stash and see.
Yep.
The season's almost halfway over here, and he could be one that picks it up in the second half.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which leads me to my second receiver, and this is
Okay.
somebody I think has got a lot of upside for the second half. That's Michael Gallup. We talked about him
Hmm.
another week or two ago, but he's really yet to get started. But I think Dak is kind of getting back on track here and starting to look like Dak that we expect. And so
Hmm.
between Gallup and CD Lamb, I think there's a lot of catches to be had out there. So went four
Yeah.
for 49 this week. He's kind of right under our threshold at
Hmm.
49% owned.
Right.
But I think he's one that probably could have a pretty good second half here right after the bye.
Yep, that'd be great. Hopefully he turns it on. As Cowboy fans, we'd both love to see that. Him to
Yeah.
make a good contribution on the second half of the season.
Yeah,
So
and he's one that, the Cowboys have a bye week this week. He might not be as favored on the waiver wire, so he might be one of those Wednesday morning snags that you can get up early and grab him and throw him on your bench.
right. Yeah, I wouldn't even bother setting the alarm too early. I'd sleep in until 8 or 9 at least on that one because he had a donut the week before. So yeah, I don't think you'll have to be fighting off too many for that one. So, yeah, but yeah, he's widely available. You can grab him if you like him. All right, so my next up is Romeo Doubs. Plays for the Packers, only 46% owned. We watched him last night in the Packer game against the Bills. He had 4 grabs on 7 targets for 62 yards plus a tutty. And we've looked at him for a few weeks now, and he just doesn't seem to be able to really turn that corner. But Rodgers really doesn't have much else to throw to. I looked at Sammy Watkins last night, and man, that's just a dead man walking. I don't understand how he's even on the field anymore. I mean, he looked pathetic. We talked about Cobb being gone. The other, I think Christian
Watson is going to stay on the field. He's at a concussion, or a knee, or an ankle, or a wrist, or
exactly. Yeah, so that guy is paper thin, man. So with absolutely nobody else to throw to, I mean, Rodgers pretty much has to force it to this guy. Yeah. And so, I know Aaron Rodgers, he's a competitor. He's not gonna just mail in the rest of the season. So he's going to be competing, trying to win some games. So I could see him, getting 100+ yards, several games this season. So I think he'd be one to pick up.
I like him. I mean, I think he's another one to break out. He's due for a big game. Some of the catches he's made, especially the touchdown that he caught this last weekend, was
look good, right?
It was really nice. So he's got Detroit coming up. Detroit, you can always score points on. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So who do you got next on your wide receivers, Greg?
Yeah, this is one that I'm just kind of keeping an eye on. I definitely wouldn't waste a waiver wire pick on him, but it's somebody that keeps on showing up, and that's kind of what I look out for. He won't let you bet down too bad on points, but I think he's got some upside, and that's Mac Hollins.
Okay.
For the Raiders, he's owned 6.4%, 7 for 64 this year or this week. He's at double digits in the last 2 weeks. He's the number 2 there. So, for what that's worth, they just got shut out by the Saints. So,
right,
we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how much
he's looking pretty good.
I think that's one.
I always thought it was going to be the Hunter Renfrow show. This season, like it was last year on the Raiders, and maybe the Waller show, but neither of those guys have really shown up. And so, I think he could definitely keep it going. Mac Hollins and contribute this season. Devontae Adams didn't have a very good game. I think that was like one of his worst games over the past, 4 years or longer. So I think there's opportunity there for him to continue to step up.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. What else you got, man? You got another wide receiver?
Okay. So, I was just going to recycle Alec Pierce, just because he's still 41% owned, plays for the Colts.
Yeah.
He's had 4 double-digit games in the past 6. Also with a 9.1 game. So, if you look at, one is almost a double digit. So, let's just say 5 of the past 6 have been, double digit or close to. And so, if you're looking for somebody, to plug in on a bye week or in your flex spot, if you let's just say your running backs are hurt and, you just need somebody to hopefully get you double digits, I think Alex Pierce is your guy. They did make a quarterback change, and the new quarterback, the rookie from Texas, I think he's actually his second year, but first year actually seeing the field. But I mean, we'll see. This is his first game in the NFL, so we'll just kind of see how that goes. And
maybe he didn't look too bad. And Alex Pierce still got some balls. Pittman hadn't lit it up this year. He's yet to really ignite. So I think there's some room to go around there.
Yep. Very good. You got any other wide receivers, Craig?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, I've got one last one, and his name is Rondale Moore. He plays for the Cardinals. He's only
Yeah.
35% owned. This past game, he had 7 grabs on 8 targets for 92 yards plus a tutty. And I think with Hollywood Brown being on IR for at least 4 to 6 games, that leaves a void right there, a target void. Obviously, Hopkins has been coming in there and hovering up all the targets he can handle, but there's still somebody else there to feed, and his name is Rondale Moore. And so I think they'd be a good contributor for any fantasy team. In fact, I wish I would have started him this past weekend. I had him on my bench, but luckily my other players blew up, so it all worked out. Didn't really need him, but I'd like to have his services from here on out.
Yeah, I like that one. Man. I mean, D-Hop is back, but I think he's a number 2. I don't know who else is number 2 there.
Right. Yeah, nobody at all until Hollywood comes back. So he's a good rental for you for 4 to 6 weeks, so at least another 3 to 5 weeks from now on.
Yeah, it's about what we need him for,
Yep, exactly.
Get us through some bye weeks and whatever.
Yep.
A few mid-season injuries.
That's right.
Well, let me get you with my first running back here.
Yes, sir.
So speaking of injuries, you got J.K. Dobbins out for, I don't know how long he's out. I think you're an owner of his. How long is he out for? Is he on IR?
Quite a while. Yeah, he's going to be out for, I'd say at least 4 weeks. So I think they did put him on IR, and so at least 3 more weeks. I think this was the first week of it. So
yeah, and then you got Gus Edwards has been getting hurt. So Kenyon Drake, he's owned 18%. Don't necessarily love the guy, but he ran for 62 yards, caught another 4 balls for 5 yards, and scored a tutty. So, he's one that I think can go off and has that potential. So he's one I've got my eye on. I think he's probably a short-term play, but he's definitely one to take a look at.
Yeah, totally agree, Craig. I actually had him written down as my number 2 running back, so that takes one off my list right there. But Kenyon Drake. I think even with Gus Edwards a little bit banged up, there's a chance Gus might miss this next game, and so it could be the Drake show again this coming weekend. 31% owned. 2 double-digit games, which were 18.7 and 23.7 over the past 4 games for Drake. And so he's a good, like you said, a good fill-in guy, to get you through here while J.K. Dobbins is on the shelf and Gus is a little bit banged up.
Yeah, I agree, man. He's a good rental, that's for sure.
Yep. All right. So my first running back is Alexander Madison of the Vikings, only 45% owned. And so, it was pretty slim pickings for me out there on the waiver wire. And so the reason why I wrote him down is we've seen it in the past where whenever Cook goes down, it's the Madison show. Yeah. And he steps in, and performs just like Cook does. And so he would be a league winner if Cook goes down for the season. Not that I'm, wishing ill will on Cook, but we have seen Cook, go down about this time of every season, usually in the second half or fourth quarter of a season. He ends up missing at least 2 or 3 games. And so, if you have the extra roster space to stash Alexander Madison, I think now would be a good time to pick him up and stick him out there. Or if not, if you don't want to waste a roster spot, even if you have, if you've been saving away the number 1, waiver wire pickup, and you just happen to, to see Cook go down, then there you go. This is somebody to spend it on.
Yeah, I think both those scenarios are really good. As far as it's kind of tough to use your waiver wire pick that you've been saving for a long time on somebody that's, second string to Cook. But I agree, man. Cook will go down at some point.
Yep.
It's a matter of when, I think, rather than if. Hey, bro, I'm not sure if I got your video here. You still showing video?
Yeah. It's still showing video for me, but not for you. It says low data mode enabled. Everyone is still recording in high quality. So we'll just keep rolling with it. Hopefully cool. when it be uploaded, it'll be okay.
All right, cool.
All
Good deal, man. Yeah, I like that. So next one on my list is Latavius Murray, 32%
Okay.
owned,
Hmm.
14 for 46 in the tutty, and then another pass catch for 13 yards. I'm just getting the feeling that the Broncos are just liking him more and more. It seems like it's going to be his show to lose for here forward. Melvin Gordon. I think he had a decent game this last game, but he's still. I think he's still losing his job to Latavius Murray over the course of the season here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he definitely looks good. It looks the better of the two. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And the other guy, Boone, I think he went down hurt. So it's pretty much just them two right now. So I
Yeah.
think you could pretty much flip a coin, any week and see which side it lands on. It's going to be either Murray or Gordon. So I think both of them will be decent plays, to get you through, for a double-digit fantasy, somewhere between 10 and 20. I probably wouldn't think either of them will get you over 20, but somewhere in that 10 to 20 range on a consistent basis.
Still there, bro?
Yep. Okay, I can still hear you.
Okay, there you go.
All right. So my last running back tonight is James Cook, and this is a name we brought up a few times. He's still only 22% owned, plays for the Bills, and same scenario as Madison. If Singleton goes down, this is a league winner right here. I've seen him giving him some opportunity in these games, especially late in games. They're letting him, tote the rock and see what he's got. It was interesting to hear that the Bills actually reached out about C-Mac, and so they're definitely interested in acquiring another running back, a baller running back. And so it may become, a point in the season where they just kind of go to Cook and just see if they already got the baller on their roster. So who knows when they're gonna flip that switch and go to him. So I think he's got a lot of potential here.
Hey, he had some good runs, man. He looked pretty sharp. So I think he's one that another one of those stash on your bench and let's see what happens type of guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
So you got any tight ends tonight, or are you done with running backs? You got any more?
I got one more running back, and this is one that
Okay.
I think that is probably going to be a second half guy for you. I see him just kind of taking over the workload there, and that's Khalil Herbert. 47% owned, 16 for 91 or 99 and one tutty. He's got Miami, Detroit, and Atlanta coming up. So
yeah,
I think he's winning that job. I think Montgomery's just about done there. So I think Herbert's a better running back in that backfield.
completely agree. Yeah, I was just thinking the exact same thing earlier today. Montgomery is pretty much done for. I've seen the Bears kind of turn the page on their running backs. I think they had Jordan Howard years ago. They gave up on him pretty early, so they may do the same for Montgomery and switch to Khalil Herbert. He definitely. I totally agree. He definitely looks like the more explosive of the two, younger, more powerful. And so it's kind of like the Cowboys. Not going to Pollard, and sticking with Easy. It's kind of dumb, right?
Exactly. Go with a better guy. If you want to win games, go with a better guy. If you want to lose games, go with who you paid the most money to.
Exactly. So I couldn't agree more on him. I'm surprised I didn't write that name down myself. I think the percentages I was looking at on Yahoo must be over 50 for him. So
I got him at 47%.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for
next.
Yeah, so that's it for running backs. I've only got two tight ends, but I wanted to talk about Evan Ingram.
Yeah,
plays for the Jags, only 43% owned. This past game, I was watching the Sunday morning game over in England, and he had 4 grabs on 6 targets for 55 yards plus a tutty, and he's got 4 double-digit games. And so, to me, he just passed the eye test. That's the reason why I wrote him down. Yeah. I saw, the Jags quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. He was looking for him a lot, like almost like his first read. He just seemed to like be locking into him. And so if that continues,
Yeah, and I mean, on that touchdown catch, he looked like a wide receiver. What is he, like number 17 or something like that? Man, he caught that ball. I'm like, who the hell's that? And then, oh, that's Ingram. I agree. I've had him on one of my benches. I think he's still sitting there. I might have dropped him for somebody else, but he's plugged in a couple times, done okay. But I think he's got some upside for sure. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, as barren as the wide receiver, the tight end cupboard is, you could do worse. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, speaking of barren, I only have one tight end on my list, and that's somebody that, we brought up, and honestly, he's done pretty decent since we brought him up. But this game, he just kind of went off, and that's Tyler Conklin.
Yeah, he did.
In the leagues, 6 for 79, 2 tutties. He's one that I think will continue to produce through the year. I didn't write down who he's got coming up next, but he seems to be the number 2 there for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And just like we talked about Garrett Wilson earlier, and as far as the Jets having to go with a more pass heavy approach, after losing their running back, I think that Tyler Conklin is certainly going to benefit there. I think he was the number 1 fantasy scoring tight end in all of the NFL this past weekend, and we've seen some good games from him so far this year, and that could continue. In fact, I'm kicking myself for not picking him up and playing him in the league where I had Travis Kelce on a bye. I ended up picking up Logan Thomas, and he got me a donut. And so, I felt like a real idiot for trusting Logan Thomas instead of just going with Tyler Conklin. Why didn't I do that? I don't know.
Yeah, shit. I mean, there's always that week, man, where you just never know. You got to have a crystal ball. Like the one week Hawkinson went off for like 40 points, whatever the hell that was. We haven't seen it since. So,
right.
I would sign Conklin up for about 9 to 15 points. If you get more than that, badass. Less than that, probably not going to happen too often. So, that's about what to expect from him.
Yeah, I'd seen a string of games of like 6, you know what I mean? And so that's why I was kind of like, maybe I can get a tutty and, 30 or 50 yards out of Logan Thomas, but no, didn't happen. So I should have just gone with Conklin.
Yeah.
All right. So, go ahead. Let's see. So that was your, Conklin was your tight end.
Man.
Okay, that's right. You got one. Okay. And so my other one is from that same game in London this past weekend. It was on the other side of the ball, though. Greg Dulcich, or Dulcich, Dulcich, Broncos, 42% owned. He's had 3 double-digit games over the past 3 weeks, and it doesn't look like he even really played much, at the beginning part of the season. So it looks like he's really only been, on the field for these past 3 weeks. I don't know, right? Came out of a cave, I guess, and just started catching footballs. So, all right, we'll take it. So right, why not? I guess you could do worse, right? So, Greg Dulcich.
I mean, that's the way it happens, I guess, sometimes, Opportunity knocks. Whoever the hell they had there before. Some guy, some name I couldn't pronounce, like Oogaboogawah or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Started with an O, had a lot of consonants. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
That guy, I guess he went into the cave, and then
this guy came out.
This guy came out.
Dulcich.
Yeah, he was wearing a Broncos helmet. So, I agree, man. I mean, I've been seeing more and more of that guy's name, so that means something, right?
There you go. Yeah. All right. So, it's a dart throw, right? So there you go. A lot of these tight ends are dart throws. So that's what we're talking about.
That's it, man. Like you almost have to look at the matchup. There's some good cornerbacks. Maybe it's a good tight end weekend or something like that. But it's a science or maybe an art or whatever the hell. Maybe a combination of both to pick which tight end is going to go off for the week.
Yep. Sure
Yeah.
is. Unless his name is Travis Kelsey or Andrews, then yeah,
Yeah.
it's a roulette wheel spin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. All right. So I've got a couple. Well, actually, no, I'm just going to talk about one QB because the other one is just a recycled name. I don't want to keep bringing this up over and over again. You got
Okay.
any QBs?
I do. I got
Okay,
two
go
of
ahead.
them.
Go for
I
it.
got two of them. This one, I'm surprised I'm actually mentioning this name, but
Uh-huh.
starting to come on is Justin Fields.
Okay.
26% owned. When 151, two tutties, ran for another 6 yards and another tutty, but 20 plus points in the last two games. I think he's starting to figure it out. Look at the matchups. It makes sense. I think he might be one to plug in there. But I think he's starting to figure it out. I'm not saying he's going to be next year's, Hurts or anything like that, but he's starting to get it going a little bit. And it's your good quarterbacks in football and your good fantasy quarterbacks are two totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
And so Justin Fields seems to be starting to get it going a little bit this year.
Yeah, with that rushing ability, that's why guys like Hurts and Kyler Murray, people of that caliber, do well for fantasy. I mean, they may not be the best real life quarterbacks, but if they're going to score you, 100 yards rushing on the ground, then I'll take it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And forgive my shitty handwriting, but 60 yards for one tutty is what he rushed for. So it's kind of he's kind of in that category of like the running back that happens to throw the ball.
Exactly.
So, it's kind of the points you get there.
Yeah, like Christian McCaffrey this weekend, throwing a pass to was it Ayuk?
Yeah, I think I missed that play, but McCaffrey went off.
Mm-hmm. He
Welcome
sure did.
to the 49ers.
Yep, exactly, man. Yeah, that's exactly what they needed, man. That's that missing puzzle piece that's going to get them back to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got one quarterback today to talk about. He's a former Cowboy. His name is Andy Dalton. Plays for the Saints. Only 14% owned. He had 40 points against the Cardinals in Week 7 and 21 points over the Raiders in Week 8. And so right there, I mean, those are two games, right in a row. Put up a 40 burger and then a 21, point. I mean, anything over 20 from a quarterback, is maybe pretty reliable. He seems to be finding his groove there. It doesn't look like they're going back to Jameis Winston. I think that he's going to stay on their bench, and this seems to be his team now. And he's got a good rapport with AK. He's been dumping the ball off to him, and he's been running with it. And I mean, if he gets some of these receivers back, like Michael Thomas and Olave is really good. He could have a good second half of the season here, and win some games for the Saints.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good one, man. That's a good one. Have to look at upcoming games, but I won some games when he was Cincinnati's quarterback with Dalton as my quarterback. So he's definitely got it, man. He's one of those guys that put up a 40 burger for you, and then he'll put up 8 points and piss you off pretty bad. But
right.
All in all, I think I agree with you, man. I think he's getting it going. He's got some weapons there, and with the Saints, and I think they like him better than Winston. Winston is just, he's too much of a gunslinger. Yeah. So Andy Dalton at least can control the football, and can win you some games. And this last game was a great outing for him. Yep.
Yeah, he's been consistently. Let's see if he can keep it up.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying to pick him up and start him, over a proven starter, but if you need him for a bye week.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. All right. So who's your other quarterback, Craig?
I got another bye week fill in. This is Jared Goff. He's kind of been hot and cold a little bit this year. Owned 42% in leagues. This week he went off for 321 and one tutty. I actually plugged him in one of my leagues and pulled off a victory there. So, he's definitely up and down. So are the Lions. It's been one of those seasons for them, but their defense sucks. So they're going to be playing comeback a lot of times in most of these games. They got Green Bay, Chicago, and the Giants coming up.
Yep.
All teams I feel like you can rack up some yardage and some tutties on. So, he's definitely worth a look.
I totally agree. So he's got some garbage time coming up. Whether or not they even lose those games, it could be a lot of shootouts. Yeah, so that's a good schedule right there, Craig. Yeah. I'm glad that you look at the upcoming games when you're coming up with your waiver wire picks. I think that's a good one right there. He's had some fantastic games this season, and could be some more good ones in store for him. So that's an excellent pick.
I think so.
All right. Well, Very good. So what I think we should do is go ahead and close down the show, and then stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for a bonus episode of Trust Me, Bro, where we go back at the halfway point of the fantasy football season and take a look at some of the players that we are happy with that play among our fantasy teams. I think each of us are in 4 fantasy teams, and then other players that we're unhappy with. And so we'll go ahead and close out this waiver wire edition of Trust Me, Bro, and stay tuned for the next episode where we take a look at how the players that we liked and the ones we were disappointed in.
That's right, brother. All right. Good stuff this week. Good luck out there on the waiver wire, and hopefully some of these picks will pay off big for some of our listeners, all of our listeners.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This huge crowd of listeners are going to be scrambling to the waiver wire tomorrow night to pick them up. Yep. All right, Craig.
All right, brother.
All right, brother.